All right, here we go with the Chapter 5 practice test. Now remember, as you go through this, take really good notes. Slow down, pause, rewind if you need to. Do whatever you need to do to better understand this, and that way you'll know what you still need to work on. And whatever that is you still need to work on, that's the type of stuff you should include in your notes for the test. All right, so here we go. Start out with the Garcia family, the Thompson family, and a piñata problem. Remember, we did piñatas at the beginning of this lesson, this set of lessons, this chapter. And we talked about, first, you can only put together things that are similar. So we can put the 5 Snickers with the 6 Snickers. We can have 5 Snickers, and we can add 6 more Snickers and get 11 Snickers. 11 Snickers. We can't, when we're sending the candy order off, we cannot put the Jolly Ranchers together with the Snickers. We can only put them together with other Jolly Ranchers. So if I have 4 Jolly Ranchers and I add 1 more Jolly Rancher, I end up with 5 Jolly Ranchers. 5 Jolly Ranchers. And that is my final answer. I cannot combine any more than that. If I left it as the variables, my final answer would be 11s plus 5j. I could not make it any more combined. Number 2, simplify. So one of the things we've talked about several times is whenever you have a simplify problem, start off by rewriting it so that everything is addition. Now I'm going to go back and I'm just going to highlight a couple of these. I'm going to highlight this 5x and this 2x. I highlighted those because they're the same kind of thing. They're both x's. Let me pick a different highlighter color and get those two. I can highlight those. I can combine those because they're both 1s. So I have 5 x's and 2 more x's, 7x. I have 8 1s, and I'm adding negative 7 1s. That's a cancel. This top one was a combine. They're both positive. I combine them, get 7x. This is a cancel, 1 positive, 1 negative. So these 7 negatives cancel out 7 of the positives, and I'm left with 1 positive, and I'm left with an answer of 7x plus 1. Okay, I'm going to continue through. Remember, again, you're in total control watching this video, so at any point you can pause, rewind, listen to it again, go back over, pause it, add something to the notes you're going to have for the test. You're in control right now. Number 3, what's the value of 9 plus 3 times 5 minus 3 minus 6? Well, I'm going to go through and I'm going to just solve this parentheses first. 5 minus 3, that's 2. So now I have 9 plus 3 times 2 minus 6. 3 times 2 is 6, so now I've got 9 plus 6 minus 6. I'm going to do this part right here. Now, the thing that allows me to do that, I'm going to rewrite this problem. And you might think, well, you don't need to rewrite it, but let me just show you the why. So I've got 9 plus 6 plus negative 6. Now, remember, the commutative property says it doesn't matter what order you put things in. When you're adding, it doesn't matter what order you add them in. So I'm going to add the 6 and the negative 6. That gives me 0. And I've got 9 plus 0 is 9. 9 is my answer. I could have done it over here. 15 is 9 plus 6 minus the 6. Still going to get 9. On we go. Number 4. What's the value of 5a plus 7b if a is 4 and b is 6? So we are substituting. We're taking 5 and we're multiplying it by 4 because that's what A is. And we're adding 7 times 6 because B is equal to 6. 5 times 4, 20. 7 times 6, 42. 20 and 42 is 62. Okay, number 5. Same kind of problem. The difference is this time the y is a negative, so y is -1, but we do it exactly the same way. We start out with 6 times 4, we substitute that in, minus 3 times -1. 6 times 4 is 24, minus 3 times -1 is -3. Subtracting a negative is like adding, so we end up with 24 plus 3, and 24 plus 3 is 27. So our answer is positive 27. Keep in mind, this is one of those things, maybe you want to make yourself a note. Keep in mind, subtracting a negative is like adding the opposite. I could go ahead if I wanted to and put a plus sign with the 3 just to remind myself. Subtracting a negative is like adding a positive. All right, what are the next 3 numbers in the sequence? I'm not going to need to do any work here. I'm just going to need to count. So 3, 6, 9, 12, we're counting by 3s. I'm just going to write that down. You don't have to have that, but it helps me make sure that I continue counting by 3s. Number 7. Now, number 7 is exactly the same problem as number 6. The only difference is there are decimals. For some students, that's a huge issue. As soon as you put a decimal in, some students go, oh, now I'm totally confused. But you don't need to be confused. So figure out what your count by is. In this case, it's a count by 0.2. 2 tenths, 4 tenths, 6 tenths, 8 tenths. 10 tenths is the next one, which is the number 1. The most common wrong answer is the number 0.1. If you wrote that, take a look. That's actually smaller than this. 0.1 is actually smaller than 0.2. You can't keep counting up and then get a smaller number. So you had to add them together. And I'll do my addition. Right here, I'll do my addition. I had 0.8. That was the last number in my pattern. I'm counting by 0.2. 8 and 2 is 10. Carry the 1. There you go. And whenever you're adding decimals, your decimal comes straight down. All right. Number 8. Which expression is equivalent to this? Well, they gave you a little hint here. They said, go ahead, write this 4 times, because you have 4 of those. That's what 4 times that means, is it means you have it 4 times. All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4 x's and 10, 20, 30, 40 ones. That is letter A right there, 4x plus 40. Okay, on to the back side. So, first one, what is negative 2y plus 11 plus 2y minus 8 simplified? So step 1, again, is going to be that step where we don't do anything except rewrite it so it's all addition. So instead of subtracting 8, I'm adding negative 8. Now I can go ahead and I've got 2y plus, or excuse me, negative 2y plus 2y. Well, that's going to be 0. You add those y's together, they equal nothing. And I have 11 plus negative 8. This is a cancel, 11 positives, 8 negatives. 8 of these negatives cancel out 8 of those positives, and they leave me with positive 3. All right, problem number 10. So on number 10, they ask us to take the expression 4x plus 8, so 4x's, 8 ones, and they've shown us the tiles grouped with this kind of grouping, we have two rows. Each row has two x's. Let me change up colors here just a little bit. Each row had two x's, and then each row has 4 1s. And they ask us which of this can be factored into. Remember, we're always trying to factor into the biggest, trying to take the biggest number out. You can think of it in a picture, it would be the greatest number of rows. Well, if we look at this, we can see that this has two x's. It also has two groups of 1s. There's a group of 1s. There's another group of 2 1s. There's a group of 2 x's, which means we could divide all this by 2. If we divided this by 2, we'd have an x in each row. If we divided this by 2, we would have a 2 in each row. So when we take that expression, 4x plus 8, and we ask ourselves, what's the biggest number that goes into both? It's going to be the 4, which means we can take a 4 out, have x plus 8, and that would be our best factored form. And so our best answer on this would be letter A. Number 11, add 10x plus 2 to 9x minus 4. I'm going to take a moment and rewrite this as 9x plus negative 4. And now I can set up my addition. 10x plus 2 plus 9x plus negative 4. Well, 10x and 9x is 19x plus positive 2 plus negative 4. That's a cancel. This was a combine. They were both positives. So I get 19x. This is a cancel because these two cancel out 2 of those. They leave 2 left, and my final answer is 19x plus negative 2. Now, I could write that. Let me scoot that right here, because I could write that as 19x minus 2. Either one of those would be considered a correct answer. All right, let's get this up where we can see it a little easier. Okay, on this next problem, there is a typo on the one I have on my screen. So I just need to fix that typo. This should actually read x minus 3. So let me just rewrite everything so there's no confusion. So 8x plus 6 minus x minus 3. First thing I want to do is I want to rewrite this as addition. So now I've got 8x plus 6 minus x plus negative 3. And then lastly, I'm going to rewrite it so that all of that is addition. So 8x plus 6 plus the opposite of both of these things. So the opposite of x and the opposite of negative 3, which is positive 3. So then I have 8x plus 6 plus opposite of x plus 3. 8x plus the opposite of x, and I'm going to, where's my thing? I'm going to move that over so I can think of it as adding negative 1. So 8x plus 1 negative x is 7x. 6 plus 3 is 9. My final answer is 7x plus 9. All right, simplify the expression. So I'm going to write out this. Now, sometimes we tend to want to rush through it. My experience, at least from my own work, is if I rush through it, it doesn't always look very pretty. So I'm going to actually take the time to write this out like I was doing rainbows. 8 times 3x. 8 times 3x plus 8 times 2. 8 times 2 plus 3 times 2x times 2x plus 3 times 5. 8 times 3x is 24x plus 8 times 2 is 16. 3 times 2x is 6x, and 3 times 5 is 15. I can add this one and this one because they're the same kind of thing. 24x plus 6x gives me 30x's. And I can add this one and this one because they're both ones. 16 ones plus 15 more ones are 31 ones. So my final answer is 30x plus 31. All right, we're down to 2 remaining. The area of a rectangular pool is 21x plus 12. Factor 21x plus 12 to find the dimensions of the pool. Draw a picture to support your answer. So let me start out by drawing my rectangular pool. Now, that's one of my better freehand rectangles. Let's put the area. This is the area. So it's 21x plus 12. I did a great rectangle, did a terrible plus sign. 21x plus 12, much better. All right, I'm going to divide this into 2 parts. So let me find a really light color here and divide this into 2 parts. Let me put my plus sign back over the top of that so we don't lose that. Okay? So now I'm dividing it. I'm factoring this. At the same time I'm doing it there, let me do it over here. And we'll talk about it 2 different ways. So I'm looking for the biggest number that goes into 21 and 12. Well, the biggest number that goes into both of those is 3. So I'm going to put a 3 right here. I'm going to put a 3 right here also. So what's 21x divided by that 3? Well, that's 7x. So this section, 3 times that 7x would give me this section of the pool, this 21x. So I got 7x here, plus 3, what I need to multiply 3 by to make 12 by 4. So I've got 4 right there. What I did was I divided, I think I'll just drag this, since that's my answer. I think I'll just drag that over there to give myself just a little more room here. What I did was I divided. That's what factoring is. Factoring is take the original amount, figure out the biggest number that goes into both. Well, the biggest number that goes into 21 and 12 is 3. So 21x divided by 3 is 7x. 12 divided by 3 is 4. And I need to make sure that whatever I divided by, I bring over. A common wrong answer is just to write 7x plus 4. That wouldn't be enough. So when I factor it, I have to have all the parts. All right. Last section. Factor each of the following. So what's the biggest number that goes into 6x and 15? Well, the biggest number that goes into both of those is the number 3. So if I take that out, let me do this way. I'm taking out the biggest number. I'm dividing them by the biggest number. So there's what I divided by right there. 6x divided by 3 is 2x minus 15 divided by 3 is 5. So for letter A, I have 3 times 2x minus 5. Letter B. What can I divide those by? What's the biggest number that goes into both of those? Well, 7, the only numbers that go into 7 are 1 and 7. 7 can't go into 20, which means all I can divide that by is 1. I end up still with 7x plus 20 because you can't factor that. So factor each of the following. For letter B, you can't factor it. There is no factored form for 7x plus 20. And finally, letter C, what's the biggest number that goes into 8 and 28? That would be the number 4. If you divide 8 by 4, you get 2. If you divide 28 by 4, you get 7x. So for C, the factored form is 4 times 2 plus 7x. Okay, go back through these however much you need to check them out, and then be sure you're taking really good notes for the test.